Hello and welcome to the Jersey TV for today's transfer special. It's the final week of the transfer window for the January transfer window. Deadline's next week, Monday. I'm delighted to be joined by Lewis. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing very good, mate. Yourselves?
Yeah, all good, all good. How are you doing, Gordy?
All good.
Yeah,
good.
all buzzing after the results of the weekend?
Yeah. Yeah. As I said, I think my favourites for the league now. Like I really believe that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we potentially will be, but yeah, some of the things I've been watching, we're in between Hearts and them lot, and the conversation's still about are Hearts going to win it? Or are they going to win it? We're still under the radar, even though we're splitting the two of them. So, but that's where I like it, because the pressure isn't on us at the minute. It's not on us at all. We're sort of going under the radar. And long may that continue and keep winning and getting the 3 points. But for today's show, then we're going to talk about transfers. So we've got 1 week left, as I've said, and we're going to look at the players. So we can briefly discuss the players that we brought in and players that have already gone, but then we'll look at in more detail of the players that potentially are going to be going between now and the end of the week, and also look at potentially some incomings and what our squad could look like this time next week. So we've got rid of a few players already. We've got rid of Cortez on loan. He went to is that Huasca, an Argentinian team.
Huracan, yeah.
Huracan, yeah. Lewis, do you think we'll see him play for Rangers again?
Nah, mate, I doubt it. I think going back to South America is probably his calling, to be honest. Went to France, did all right. Can't be honest, I mean, it was a massive mistake us getting the obligation to buy. I think the option to buy is obviously the more sensible and the more appropriate way to go, I think, when you're bringing in loan deals. So, yeah, like to bring in on a permanent basis. But, I mean, that was 4 million spent, and he's made, 10, maybe 12 appearances for Rangers at most. And we've probably seen 1 or 2 good games in it.
Yeah, I think one game stood out was that game against Hearts when we beat them 5-0. We got the goal. It was a really good goal. But other than that, we've not seen much at all. And he's injury prone, and now we just need to stay clear of those type of players. But we've also got rid of Kieran Dowell, Gordy. Thoughts on that? He's gone to Hull City. Happy with that one?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll just go back to Cortez. There's more chance of me turning out for Rangers in the future than Cortez. So that kind of answers that. And Dowell, yeah, I mean, I don't blame the player. It wasn't his fault that we bought him. It wasn't his fault we brought him in. It wasn't terrible. I just don't think for what we're looking for, challenging the title in European football, he's just not quite at that level, unfortunately. But credit to him, we never really kicked off. We never really hear him complaining about not getting a game. He was obviously, a big social part of the squad. So fair play to him. It's not his fault he was brought in, but yeah, I think we've got a lot of midfielders now, so it was only a matter of time. So wish him well.
Yeah, and then the only other player I believe is, please tell me if I've missed anyone out, but Lyle Cameron. He's also gone to Aberdeen on loan, so he's gone on loan, not on a permanent. Lewis, do you think we'll see him next season? Do you think a loan move to Aberdeen is a good move for him, or?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good that he's staying in the league. Obviously, I think we've all seen a good section of the Aberdeen supporters protesting against the loan deal of Lyle Cameron. With a big banner saying no Old Firm loans, although they welcomed Liam Scales on loan from Celtic with open arms. So I don't think that's no Old Firm loans. I think that's no Rangers loans. I think that's what they meant. So
I don't know why they didn't just say that. Why hide behind the Old Firm? Why didn't they just say no loan from Rangers? Because clearly they think differently about the two clubs. So
clearly. Well, you know what? I do think it's good for him. I don't hold any sort of animosity or anything like that towards him. I don't hold any sort of negativity towards Lyle Cameron. I wish him all the best. I hope he does well with Aberdeen. I mean, I think his first game in the cup against Raith Rovers, he got man of the match, I believe. So I think that I can only really go up from there. I hope it works out well for him, and I hope he can come back a better player, because I did like him. at Rangers, and I don't really understand why Danny Rowe never really gave him much of a chance. I mean, yes, he had a couple of injuries, but even when he was fit, he wasn't really getting much of a sniff in the squad. So I do wish him all the best. I hope he can come back in and maybe be a lot better player, and maybe even start for us, because I do think he's a great player. He's popped up with some key moments. I mean, scoring away in Pilsen. Obviously, unlucky that we get knocked out of I wouldn't really say unlucky. Poor that we get knocked out of the Champions League in the latter round, but he popped up with a great goal and Pilsen, a great goal, right place at the right time as well. So yeah, I mean, I think he's been a good player. Not quite good enough to start, I don't think right now, but I think he can be in the future.
Yeah, and I liked him. I thought he was probably the best player under Russell Martin, to be fair. But I think it's right for him to go out on loan. But the thing is, we should be doing more of this. If players aren't quite ready to start for us, but they're too good to be sitting on the bench, send them out on loan, but send them out to Scottish Premiership sides so they can sort of help to get points off our rivals, because them lot across the city, they've got to go to Pittodrie in is it a couple of weeks or so? So hopefully Lara Cameron can have another man of the match performance in that game as well. Anything else to add, Gordy, for the three outgoing so far?
No, I mean, makes sense. I personally wouldn't want him to go to Aberdeen for personal reasons, because I don't think he'll be appreciated up there, to be perfectly honest. And I don't. I think I said this to you last week. We did the show. I think the Aberdeen fans are vile sometimes. That's just ridiculous. We should be grateful, to be perfectly honest, that they're getting a good player on loan for the rest of the season. Frankly, and I just think the Aberdeen fans are a bit vile sometimes, and I've got nothing to add to that really.
Yeah. Okay. We'll swiftly move on. Yeah, I hope he has a good time up there and come back to a better player. So we've got three players that we have got as incomings now. We've got Tochi, Romans, and Scovolson. Lewis, Tochi Chikwani. What do you think of him so far? We've seen him play twice now against Annan and at the weekend against Dundee as well.
Yeah. Well, obviously made his debut against Annan. I thought he played all right, but I think at the weekend he actually played very well. I thought he was unlucky with the disallowed goal. I think it was offside by just a small margin, and then of course he had a chance later on in the first half, I believe it was, which he took on his weaker foot and of course hit it basically right to the goalkeeper. But you know what? I thought he had a great game yesterday. I look forward to seeing him in the future. I think he's a great player. He can offer a lot of similarities to what a lot of players are offering as well. I mean, I think he can even offer similar sort of style of play to Diamandi. Possibly in the future as well, he's making those advanced runs going forward. He's not the sort of deep line midfielder which I thought he was going to be personally, but he seems to be getting forward, getting involved. It's good to see a player getting so involved in the game when he's only just joined the club as well. I mean, I don't really think we've seen much of it against Annan, but against Dundee, don't get me wrong, it wasn't a great performance from the team overall. I think the scoreline flattered us, but I thought he was one of the standout players.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting involved. I mean, you had that header, obviously disallowed for offside. It was about half yard offside, but then you also had that chance as well where he went through 1-on-1. But you can clearly see from that chance, he's not a goal scorer. But it's good that he's getting into those positions. He's making those runs, and hopefully as time progresses, he can hopefully get a goal or two as well to help us on our way to title number 56. But we've also got in a couple of other players. So Tua Romans, I mean, we haven't seen anything from him yet, but I like this player, from what we've seen, and I've looked at, the videos that people have put out there in terms of what kind of player that he is. He looks like he's going to be a really good, attacking player for us. I think he's in the top third percentile for successful crosses from that left-hand side. And he's, I've seen people on videos compare him to sort of like the Tavernier on the left-hand side, etc., with his ability going forward. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he's going to progress with us over the coming months. But Magoma's going to be hard to get out of that team though, because I thought for me Magoma was our best player on Sunday, because he just tirelessly up and down that wing. So he's going to be. So we might not see him immediately, and if even when he is fit, we might see him, bit part here or there. I hope he does get back to full fitness as soon as possible, because we need that strength and depth. Because Magoma has played a lot of football and he's still only 19 years old. So I'm hoping he's going to be back for maybe the Hibs game and play a little part of that Hibs game. What are your thoughts on that transfer?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as Danny Rose said in one of his press conferences, well, I think the first press conference after we actually signed to the Romans, I think he said he's more of a defensive option. Obviously, as we know, Magoma's very good at going forward. I think he can lack sometimes in his defensive capabilities. I thought he played well against Dundee as well. I agree with you. I thought he was one of our better players, if not our best player, on Sunday. It's going to be really good, very healthy competition, I think, for that left back spot. I mean, I think they're two very different players. So maybe competition's the wrong word. Maybe they can both offer something completely different. So it depends on what type of game we're going into. Depends on how long we've got left in the game. Depends on the scoreline. Whatever. Depends on. You can pick out many reasons why you could play one or the other in a game. But I really look forward to seeing him. Obviously, I've not really seen much of him. I've seen the odd wee video or two, but in these wee videos, you're not exactly going to show the player falling on his arse. Apologies for my language, but you're not exactly going to show them falling on their backside. You're going to show their best moments. So, I really don't know. I don't know. I can't really say much about him until we actually see him in action playing in that Royal Blue jersey.
Yeah, and I can't wait for it though. I'm really looking forward to this player joining the squad and starting to get some minutes for us and see what he can offer on that left hand side. But our final incoming then so far is Skov Gordy, thoughts on Skov? Have we just lost him?
You got it.
I think we might have just lost Gordy. Right, Lewis, what about yourself?
Skov Olsen, obviously it was one of the signings that got the fans very excited. Obviously, a player of a relatively high calibre. Done extremely well with Club Bruges, was well appreciated by the fans. Went to Wolfsburg, wasn't maybe as successful as what he was at Bruges. I think he got an unfortunate injury. And I think even after that, when he was match fit, he wasn't really playing much games. So I think that was a bit unfortunate. He's coming off the back of not having much game time. He's still needing to stretch the legs, I think, a little bit. I thought he wasn't really as involved in the game on Sunday as what I thought he would have been. Don't get me wrong, I thought the goal that got disallowed, as we spoke about earlier on with Ciccone, he put on a great ball. It was fantastic play for him. It was good vision, good of him to see the run from Ciccone. But I think apart from that, he never really offered much. I think he did get brought off around the 50th, 55th minute or so, which is understandable. I can't remember who came on in the right hand side. I think was it Gassama that came on for him.
I think Gassama came on, but
Gassama came on for him. I think did not.
Gassama came on for him, I think, and then Gassama eventually went over to the left hand side.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember how long in the game it took for him to go over to that left hand side, but yeah, it was Gassama that came on for him at the time.
Yeah.
And yourself, Gordy, mate. What are your thoughts on Skov Olsen? Then were you impressed with him on Sunday?
Not overly, to be honest. It was important for him to get his first taste at Ibrox, his first taste of the league. So I can understand why Daniel Rose obviously played him, because he should be able to come into a game against Dundee. I'm very confident he'll be much improved in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
Maybe started him as a sub, to be honest, maybe bring him on for the last 20 minutes or so. But he started with him. He's still fairly young. He's not too old. He should be fit, and he's got a lot to prove. So he's got quality as well. So I've got no doubt that he'll come on a good game.
Yeah, and you saw that quality for that disallowed goal. That was a great ball into the back post. We just need to, see more of that. But for me, and this is the thing, with our wingers in general, I don't feel like we're giving them the ball at the right times or quick enough for them to be able to make the most of their abilities. Every time we give them the ball, it's like they're surrounded by players already. We need to be able to, if we start an attack on one side, be able to switch the ball quickly to the other side. So we've got them one-on-one against the defender. That's where we're going to really see our wingers come to life. But I think that's what we need to work on, a bit of pace in our movement of our ball from one side of the pitch to the other. And that's where, hopefully we can do that, and Skov Olsen can show us what he can do, because there's definitely a lot of quality there. It's just getting him up to speed. I think, was it the 8th of November was his last minutes before he came to us, so that was a few months ago. So still lots of football for him to play, and hopefully get some goals and assists over the coming months. So if we just focus on the players, then that there are still question marks over, because I think we've got 5 or 6 that that could be off still between now and the end of the January transfer window. We'll start off with the first one here. So Joe Rothwell. Lewis, do you think we're going to see him in the Rangers shirt again, or do you think he's going to be off?
I highly doubt it, mate. I very much highly doubt it, unless he gets a wee sniff in for the Porto game, which, let's be real, is a bit of a dead rubber now, unless you want to argue we can maybe go for the coefficient place if we win the league, of course, go straight into the Champions League. But apart from that, it's a dead rubber. So we might see him maybe feature for 10-20 minutes in the Porto game, but apart from that, I don't think so. I don't think we will. I mean, of course, as we all know, there's a lot of strong interest from teams down in the English Championship. Of course, you get Sheffield United, Derby, I think Stoke City as well. I believe there's one more in there, which I can't for the life of me remember who it is. But, I think Joe Rothwell, I mean, it was one that the fans get relatively excited at. So I thought he was going to be a great signing. He was one. He looked as if he was going to be one of those players who came in and sort of dictated the play, speeds it up whenever it needs to be, but also slows it down when it needs to be as well. And, I hate to mention them, but Callum McGregor plays that sort of role when he plays for Celtic, especially against us. He does that, he speeds the game up, but he can also slow it down. I thought he was going to be that type of player, but unfortunately, it's just not worked out. Didn't really get much game time. Of course, played a good bit under Russell Martin, but I think as soon as Danny Rowe came in, he never really fancied him, which is fair enough. I think a lot of Rangers fans were tired of seeing him just constantly just sort of slowing the game down. If we did need that bit of pace, if we did need that bit of excitement in the ground, he just wasn't giving it. He was just sort of slowing it down, passing it backwards, passing it sideways, and he wasn't really doing much else. He wasn't really being that sort of creative sort of deep line playmaker that we all thought he was going to be. So I'm upset that it's not worked out, because I thought he was going to be a great signing. I thought he was going to be. No, don't get me wrong, he's not old, but he's still very experienced in the game, of course, playing with Leeds, Bournemouth, and of course Russell Martin, Southampton team as well, and managed to get promoted to the Premiership. So I'm not happy it's worked out. I wish it did work out, but I wish him all the best down south if he ends up on.
Yeah.
Of course.
What about yourself, Gordy, mate? Would you like him back in the Championship down south? Or?
Same as Lewis. I was quite excited when he came up. I thought he was a good player. Just not worked out. So yeah, I mean, if there's an offer there for him and we can get a shot at him, then that's a quite a extreme expression to say get rid of him or get a shot at him. But if an offer comes in, and then let him go, because he's obviously. I mean, he wouldn't he wouldn't bring in an arm midfielder if he wanted to keep Joe Rothwell. So I think this new midfielder plays in the same position as Joe Rothwell as well. So just if he can get a move, it's probably best for his career as well. So. I agree. Yeah, I think he needs to move on. It's not worked out, and a lot of times, in years gone by, if a player hasn't worked out, we still end up with them at the club for another 2 or 3 seasons. So it'll be good to just get him out the door ASAP and free the space up for someone else. So hopefully a bid does come from him over the next week or so. We'll move on to the next one. Gordy, we'll start with you this time. Danilo, what do you reckon? Well, I'll just clarify. Apparently it's 2 million, but who's paying who here? Who's paying the 2 million to who?
What do you mean? Who's paying the 2 million to who? Paphos will be paying us 2 million, will they not?
Oh, right, okay, sorry, we're not paying them to get rid of him, no.
Well, I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe. But to be fair, like he did come on and had an impact on Sunday. There is still a player in there. He is still worth something. It's not a Cortez, for example, who just didn't look like he could play at all. He is still
2 million. 2 million. 10% of his next transfer fee. Boom, out the door. Let's go.
Yeah. Lewis,
because he's not. He's had 3.5 years, scored 12 goals or whatever. I'm sorry, you cost £5-6 million. I don't care how good his dad dances. I don't care if he come on.
I'm going to miss that though. I am going to miss that.
But that's no qualification for. If that was the case, then me, Lewis, Jay, Simon, and Ryan would be up front for Rangers on a consistent basis. No, get rid of him, and he's. Listen, this is going to sound harsh, right? I don't care, to be perfectly honest. He's been on a minimum 30 grand a week for 3.5 years, and his contribution has been next to nothing for that. He's almost stole a wage, so let him go. If we can get 2 million, great. If not, just let him go.
Yeah. Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, 2 million, I mean, it's actually quite flattering, the fact that we're being offered 2 million for a player of Danilo's calibre, to be honest. I'm not a massive fan of him. I think he's obviously showed that he's obviously had his moments in a Rangers shirt. I mean, obviously, he scored quite a good goal there against Dundee, but he's just extremely inconsistent. He just can't keep up. He scored against Kilmarnock in Danny Rowe's first game. Then the second game, he scored the only goal away at Hibs. But then after that, we all thought he was maybe going to hit the ground running. He scored 2 goals in 2 games. A good bit of form. Good bit of recent form. But unlucky that it just never worked out. I don't think he never got to start against Celtic. I think Chermiti was favoured over him, unless he played the two up front, or maybe Danilo out on the left hand side. But I don't think Danilo played that game, and I'm not saying if Danilo played that game, things would have been different for him. But I think considering he scored 2 goals in 2 games, I thought it was a little bit unfair on him, considering the criticism that Chermiti was getting. But at the same time, you could argue what we're spending Chermiti, he needs to start these big games. But anyways, the fact that we're getting $2 million for a player who's been so inconsistent, and as you said, Gordy, 3.5, 4 years, and he scored about 12 goals. I'm not the one here to bring up the stats, Gordy, you are, but for a striker, that is unacceptable, especially Rangers.
Yeah, I think this one's guaranteed to be gone now. I think with the reports today, it looks like there's not just Paphos, there's some other clubs in Holland. I saw NEC Breda were looking into him as well. So yeah, I think he'll be gone, and we'll be looking at bringing in another striker, which we'll touch on a bit later on in the show. We'll move on now to Matondo. There's a comment here from Glenn Keane. What is happening with Matondo? What is happening with Matondo? I mean, I've not heard really anything about him. Have you seen any links about Matondo? I feel like he's just going to be one of those players that's just going to be there, just be in the squad for the next 6 months, taking a wage and doing absolutely nothing. Gordy.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of told him Matondo because the boy must have talent. Like, he's got talent, he's got pace, he can score. He's just not. Don't know if it's a mentality or the league's not suited for him, but he's one of these players that might go somewhere and have a great career, or you might never hear from him again, like after Rangers. I mean, he came on. He scored that great goal against Celtic. He's had some good games for us. He's had his injury problems as well, which is, he's signed for Rangers. That's what happens. You part for the course. So. I don't know, like, he's not really worth. I wouldn't say like take a gamble on him, give him a new contract. But I mean, I might be speaking out of turn here, and people might disagree. But if nobody comes in for him, then you can give him a year's extension and give him a kind of pay per play game, or give him a basic wage and then top it up with appearances because there must be a player in there. Like, I'm probably going to have inundated with comments saying you're talking absolute rubbish. But at the end of the day, if no one goes in for him and we can't get rid of him, I think he's out of contract. But
yes, in the summer,
he could be the player where you just take a punt on for like 1 season, and you say, right, you've got a season, show what you can do. We're going to cut your wages to X amount, but you'll get topped up if how many appearances you make and goals and assists, etc. Or you say to him, right, we'll release you. I think he will be released, but maybe just. Yeah, maybe just sometimes in life you just take a wee chance. You know what I mean? Take a punt on somebody.
I mean, how many chances has he had? How long has he been here for? 3 seasons.
But whenever he comes back, mate, he just gets injured again. And I don't know if it's the training. I don't know if it's the style of play or the league. But yeah, so listen, I've got no doubts he'll end up leaving. But maybe, just maybe somewhere there's a player in there. Is it worth taking a wee punt for a season?
No, not for me. Lewis?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jay, what you said earlier on. I think he's going to be one of those players that's just in and around the squad for a bit over the next 6 months, and we'll see him just run out his contract. And I hate to say it, because Matondo was actually one of the players that I quite liked at Rangers, especially when he came in at first. I thought, I mean, obviously scored a couple of good goals, scored a good goal against Hibs at Ibrox, then of course scored a more memorable goal against Celtic in the 3-3 draw at Ibrox as well, very late on in the game. So, I mean, he's definitely got some fantastic ability. He's good at he can take on a man, as much as we've seen inconsistencies with that. He can take on a man. He can score a goal. He can cut in and finish it, far post, near post, whatever. He can put a bit of power on it, but he can run. The boy can run, and he's got stamina as well. He's very physically. He's great. Like he can run for days, but I think it's a real shame that it's not worked out for him, and I know I say this about everyone. It's an absolute utter shame that it's not worked out for him, because he's one of those players. I thought he actually had quite good mentality as well when it came to that. As a lot, as we say about a lot of players, you don't really see him complaining that he's not getting game time. Or he's just almost there, and when he comes on, you always see him. He's always happy to be playing. Of course, I mean in the game against, I believe, Aaron, he won a penalty as well. So I mean he's got his moments in him, but I think it's another one of those players who we just kind of need to cut our losses with and just see it out to the rest of the season. I don't see any point in taking another punt on him for another year because, as you said, Jay, how many chances has he had? He's been here for what, 3.5 years, so he's certainly had his chance at Rangers, I think, and it's just unfortunate it's not worked out for him. If he was to maybe go back to a team in Germany where he obviously thrived at Schalke, who we also got him from, he went on loan to Hannover, I believe, for the tail end of last season. I don't think he was particularly great, but we've seen some sort of rumours that he's going to Cardiff City as well. I think we've seen those more in the summer than obviously more this window. I've not really seen much this window about him leaving the club, but we've seen in the summer that there was slight links of him going to Cardiff, which is a team that he supported as a boy. So that wouldn't surprise me. Cardiff's a team that's doing well. Considering the league that they're in, I think they're doing well. I believe they're top of League One, so I think it'd be a good place for him to go. Maybe either that or the German second or even lower first division.
Yeah. He's a player that had potential. He's got that raw pace. The ability to get bums off seats, but he could never stay fit. He was never consistent enough. And for this new look Rangers under this new ownership, under with new ambition, he's just not at the level. So get rid. And I think the first three players we spoke about, Joe Rothwell, Danilo, and Matondo, all three of them absolute definites to leave. Well, they have to leave over the next week. I'm convinced Joe Rothwell and Danilo will. Matondo's the one where I'm like, yeah, I feel like he could end up being here for the next 6 months doing absolutely nothing. We'll move on now to Nsiala. So Nsiala, this is one where I feel like there is a lot of potential in this boy. Is he cut out to play for us at this level? I'm not sure yet, but I would like to see him go on loan. I wouldn't like to see him sell him, but I want to see him go on loan to another Scottish Premiership club, just like what Cameron has done going up to Aberdeen, maybe a Motherwell, that could be a really good option for him. Obviously, Celtic have taken Welsh back to the club, so there's an opportunity there for Nsiala to potentially go to Motherwell and playing under a really good coach and playing some really good football for them. So, yeah. What about yourself, Lewis? What do you think of this one?
No, he's certainly a player that I would keep a hold of. I would definitely not get rid of him or sell him. I would maybe loan him out. I agree with you. I think he certainly can be good enough. Maybe not right now, but he's shown promise in a lot of games. Of course, one of the games that we judge him on most is the game against Kilmarnock, where obviously he made 2 errors, which led to 2 Kilmarnock goals. Barry Ferguson's first game as interim boss, well, as soon as we brought him off as well, we ended up winning the game 4-2. So, also I think he was probably the main reason why we were 2-0 down. But I mean, it was because he made the 2 crucial mistakes. But he's judged. He just got. I think he was constantly judged in that game. He was judged in that game by Barry Ferguson. Barry Ferguson never really gave him another sniff. Even Russell Martin. Russell Martin never really gave him much of a chance. And we've seen the players who got a chance under Russell Martin. So I'm thinking if those sort of players like your Kieran Dills, your Danilos or whatever, your Rothwells are getting a chance under Russell Martin, why isn't Nsiala, a young promising centre back who comes from AC Milan? I mean, if you're playing for AC Milan, you're not a dafty. I mean, you've got to be a talented young boy if you're playing for AC Milan Pro Youth. So I think he's certainly one that I would keep a hold of, keep on the books for now. Loan him out. If he's successful going out on loan, try and integrate him into the squad next season.
Yeah, Gordy, thoughts? I'm sorry, Lewis. I've not seen any promise for him. For being honest, I don't understand. I've never seen. There's never.
Not like you. It'd be controversial. It's not like you.
I've never seen him play a full 90 minutes and thought as a player in there. Like honestly, I'm just being honest.
I think he's not played a full 90 minutes.
No, I'm saying I've never seen him play a full 90 minutes and then at the end of it, I thought to myself, God, what a performance! So there is a cracking player in there. I've said this a few times. I don't think he's a defender. I think if you retrained him as a defensive midfielder, then I can see that because I think he's got a decent pass on him and I think he's got energy. So potentially retrain him or move him into another position. But I'm sorry, guys. Like for me, like maybe I'm old-fashioned when it comes to what I want to see a defender do, but tackle and block shots. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a new thing with football these days. But I've not seen anything that lets me think myself. The only thing I've got going for him in my head is that he's stuck in, and he must be training hard to still get a chance. So fair play to him. He's obviously got mental resilience, which is good. I do think he's got a decent pass on him. I do think if you possibly moved him a little bit further up the park, but I would not trust him at the Rangers back 5. Possibly put him out on loan for 12 months so he can prove me wrong. Good. Fair play. If he does, great. But I don't. There's younger Scottish defenders. There's Scottish defenders we can bring in that know the SPL, that know the league, that are far more reliable than him. And put him out on loan, perhaps loan at the end of the season, maybe loan for the whole next season. Let him develop as a player. But right now, I don't see a future for him at Rangers. But Lewis says he has come through the ranks at Milan. There must be promise in there somewhere. But for me, not as a defender. But I hope he proves me wrong. But I just don't see it.
I'm not ready to give up on him just yet. I want to see him go out on loan for the rest of the season and also go out on loan for an entire year next year at a Scottish Premiership club. I want to see how he can deal with the strikers that you're going to come up against in this league. If he can bulk up and improve on that aspect, his ability to, like you say, just be an old school defender and be able to head balls clear and not get bullied by the size and physicality of strikers that you'll come up against your Achilles, your St Mirrens, etc. So I want to see him out on loan, and then I'll judge him after I've seen him play consecutive games for a team in this league. We'll move on then to Bajrami. This is a player that this is one where I would say there is a player in here, right? And I saw, he came on at the weekend, and I thought, he did well when he came on. If we sell him this window, we have to sell him. I wouldn't want to let him go out on loan somewhere because I feel like he can still add value to the squad in some capacity. Lewis, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, for me, I would absolutely 100% keep him. I know we've got a lot of options in the position. He's probably maybe the worst out of the three. With Diamande, Asgard, and of course himself, he's probably the worst out of the three. But I think he's a fantastic player. As you said, there's certainly 100% a player in there with him. He's proven that he's scored a lot of crucial goals coming up at crucial times. And he's putting in grit. He's putting in solid performances you'd expect at Rangers. But you've seen a lot of players not doing that in the past. And we've been a lot kinder to them. Maybe in a sense, we've been a lot more lenient to them in terms of keeping them at the club. So I think for a player of his quality, obviously we've seen his quality more at Euro 2024. So obviously, I mean, there's certainly quality in there. He was a good player at Sassuolo, I believe he was. We brought him in for, I believe, 3 or 4 million. So a relatively high transfer fee. He costs a good bit of money. So I think if we were to sell him, I'd at least try to make that back or maybe even more. Because I certainly think we can.
Gordy?
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one because I agree with Lewis and yourself. There's a player in there. I think he's been the victim of getting played out of position somewhat at Ibrox as well when he's come on. He's stuck out in the wing, usually the left wing. And we've got so many central midfielders that there's no real place for him. We get Diomande and Asgard that are probably ahead of him in that position. So it's a strange one because he's got talent. He's international. He scored a cracking goal, as Lewis has alluded to, against Italy, Euro 24. The good season in Serie A with Sassuolo. Don't know how you pronounce that. Sassuolo. So it's definitely a player in there. Again, is he quick enough for the way we want to play? Is he... I don't know. Does the Scottish game suit him? Is it too quick for him, too fast for him, too direct for him? So I think if we get an offer, I wouldn't say I want to cheat like Danilo, but if we got an offer for him that was around what we probably paid for him, then yeah, I can see him moving on. But I feel as if he cares, like he's got passion and he comes on and does well, and he's played a few good games. So it's a strange one because he was brought in but kind of faded away. So I've got sympathy for Bajrami because, as I say, getting played out of position, not really to show his best, his true colours really, and he's been replaced in his natural position. So yeah, I've got sympathy for him. to be honest.
And he's another one where, you know, I've seen him play this season. I thought he looked decent. You know, played Dundee United away, and he stepped up and took that penalty in the last seconds of the game. You know, that takes courage to go and do that. So there's definitely, he's got the right sort of like mentality, I feel, and he's got ability. It's just we haven't seen it consistently enough, and maybe, you know, being played out of position at times, and getting injuries at the wrong time because he got injured again, you know, this season. It's just not helped him. So I think if we get a 3-4 million offer, I'd sell him, but I wouldn't be in any rush or taking any sort of cut price deal for him, that's for sure. We'll move on then to Curtis. This one is a tough one because when he plays, I'm always impressed, you know, but he's too good. And he's at that age now where you can't just let him sit on the bench. You know, he needs to go out and play football. And you know, if there was reports last week of us accepting a deal to send him out on loan to Killy, which I think would be a great move for him under obviously Neil McCann, Billy Dodds. But then he played for us since then. So it's like, well, how has he played games for us since they've agreed to obviously loan him out to Killy? So I'm not too sure what's going on here, whether we're having second thoughts, and we're, you know, because Ant-Man's not been playing, so maybe we're thinking, well, is he going to replace Ant-Man in the team? And Ant-Man goes out on loan because he's not played. He was on the bench against Aberdeen away, didn't play. Then he wasn't even in the squad to face Annan. And then he was on the bench again against Dundee, not playing, didn't play in Europe. I don't really know what's going on with Ant-Man. So thoughts, Lewis?
I think it's a funny one, as you said. I mean, he's certainly a top quality player. I think he'll certainly make it at Rangers in the future. I think Kilmarnock is probably the right team to go for him. Obviously a struggling Kelly team now. I think they're sitting second bottom in the league. Of course, Neil McCann, someone who will know the quality of Finlay Curtis as well. Obviously played in a similar position as him himself, so he'll certainly know the qualities that Finlay Curtis holds. But I think I do agree with you. I think we might be having maybe slight second thoughts because it was pretty much all but confirmed that he was going out on loan, and that was over a week ago. And as you said, he's featured in 2 squads since then. Of course, featured against Ludogorets and featured there against Dundee. So he's I think when he came on against Ludogorets, I think he came out either early on that day or the day before. He was pretty much bang on set to go to Kilmarnock on loan. Then he came on against Ludogorets and he played out of his skin. He had an absolutely fantastic performance. If I remember right, he had a great chance as well to put his 2 goals up from just outside the box, took on his weaker left foot, and the keeper made a fantastic save. It was just about going to that far post into the top corner, but he was very unlucky it never went in. I thought it was, and I thought it was going to be a goal for him. Maybe not a send off. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but I thought it was going to be a good one to set him up for going out on loan to Kelly. Of course, as I said, they're a struggling team, so I think it wouldn't be too hard for a player of his qualities to thrive in a team like
that. Yeah, Gordy, mate. Any thoughts on Curtis?
Yeah, I agree with what Lewis is saying there for the most part. I'd maybe look at the team. I don't know if Kilmarnock would be the ideal team given they're in a relegation dogfight. Don't know if that's the right club to throw him into, the right mood in the dressing room for him to thrive at such a young age. I would like to see him maybe go to somebody like Falkirk at this moment in time, where really good manager, John McGlynn, experienced manager, kind of plays decent football, kind of football that obviously not the same as Rangers, clearly, but might be better suited to him rather than Kilmarnock. However, maybe, if we get that boy from Motherwell and us, give him to Motherwell for the rest of the season on loan as well, as part of the deal. I don't know, it's a strange one that he was definitely seemed to be on his way to Kilmarnock on loan, and then he obviously it's stalled for whatever reasons. So, I think he will go out on loan, but I think that maybe Danny Rowe might be looking at the club he goes to rather than the actual deal itself, if that makes sense, because I'm not sure putting a young guy into that and kind of relegation scrap. Kilmarnock would absolutely love to have him, but I don't know if it's the right environment for him. Perhaps a team like Falkirk, and then if Falkirk can take points off, Hearts or Celtic, whatever, great. So I would like maybe reevaluate what club he goes to, but I think he will go out on loan. I think he's got great potential. I think he could be guilty, just maybe trying a little bit too hard, but that's only because he plays for the club he loves. And he's trying to make his mark and a good impression on the fans and the manager, so don't blame him for that at all. But yeah, I think he will go out on loan. Love to see him back next season, be a bit younger, a bit older, a bit more experienced, but I would be wary of the team he goes to.
Yeah, but I think this is an awkward one because you know he's going to get game time at Killy because they're struggling. He's going to be playing under a manager that knows him. So you know you're going to get game time out of him. But like you say, is it the right environment for him to go into? Does he want, Curtis to be playing on that pitch every other week? But then you think of a team like Falkirk, for example, or Motherwell, they're doing so well. Will he get enough game time at that club? Because whatever they're doing at the minute is really working for them. So how does Curtis then fit into that? So it'll be interesting to see what we do, and I'm sure we'll find out over the coming days before the end of the transfer window. But for me, he definitely has to go somewhere because he's too good a player to play 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there for us. We've got a comment here from Matt from Matrix Break. Has the German striker signed yet? So let's move on now to the potential look of the squad once the January transfer window ends. I'll go through what squad that I've put up here, and I've just gone for 25 players, which I think could be here, and I'm not including any of the players that we have just talked about because let's say all of them go, we get rid of all of them. This is what the squad could look like at the end. And then we'll go through, the potential signings because I've added that German striker. I've added him to this list. So for the goalkeepers, we've got Butland and we've got Kelly. Obviously, there'll be no change there. And we've got Kieran Wright, top left, as the third choice goalkeeper. Then at right back, I've put Tav and Aarons. But then also, as you can see at the top there, I've also put Sterling because I feel like Sterling could play in a number of positions, so you could put him at right back, he could be cover for centre back, he could be cover for Connor Barron in midfield. Do we go out and buy another midfielder in, even though Connor Barron could be back in 2 months? Do we get a 6 month stopgap, or do we say Sterling, you're going to be used as a utility player in that part of the pitch as well? So potentially we won't go for Sterling for another midfielder. But then you've got Suter and Giga on the right hand side, Fernandez, Cornelius on the left, Magoma and Romans as our left backs. Then you've got Diamande, Tochi Chukwani, you got Raskin, Barron when he's back. And then for me, Moore and Asgard have to fight it out for this number 10 position because I think he's absolutely wasted out on that left-hand side, Mikey Moore. I want to see him getting the ball on the half-turn in the middle of the pitch and driving at the defenders, playing those through balls into the wingers and linking up with the striker, playing 1-2s off him. That's where I feel like Moore's going to be at his best. Asgard had a couple of opportunities in the game against Dundee where he did get the ball on the half-turn, but then he let the ball roll too far in front of him and he lost it. I feel like Moore would be actually a better player for us in that position than Asgard currently is. So I would really like to see Moore in that position more. But that would mean, and I've put here on the screen, that we would need to get a new player out on that left-hand side because Gassama, you can see the quality that the player's got. You can see that, against Dundee at the weekend when he came off onto his right foot and curled it into the bottom corner. I feel like Gassama could do that every single game. He looks like he's got that finish down to a T. So we need to see that more, but we can only see that when he's playing off the left. But I feel like we need another player in there to challenge Gassama, Maybe that's what we're going to use Matondo for, who knows, and that's why he's going to be here still. But I feel like we need a new player there. Then you've got on the right-hand side, Skovolson and Ant-Man. And then up top, you've got Shimiti and Mioski. And because we look like we're selling Danilo and the links today with that Ryan Naderi, I've put him at the top there as well. I am still a bit confused as to obviously going for a third striker because we play with one striker and we've already got two on the books. How do you fit three strikers into one position? It's like if you were playing 4-4-2 back in the day, it's like having, like Man United back in the day, they had Dwight York, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham because they played two up top. How would they fit in a fifth striker and keep him happy? I feel like if you play one striker, you sort of need to have two in the squad. Having a third seems a bit overkill for me. I'd rather have the players around the striker so we can get more creativity and feed them. What are your thoughts on this then, Lewis? Anything that stands out to you as something you'd change?
No, not really. I don't think there's anything really I would change about that. What you've got there, obviously, we've got some players like to be coming in. A good two. Obviously, I'll start with Ryan Naderi. The rumours that only really started circulating today. You had Florian Plettenberg, the German Sky Sports journalist, come out and confirm that these rumours are certainly something in them. Who's it he played for again? Sorry.
Holston.
Hansa Rostock.
Yeah.
Rostock. I thought I was about to say Holstein Kiel, but no, Hansa Rostock. Yeah, you're right. Who I actually never believed were in the third division of German football until today. I still remember them as being quite a staple team in the Zweite Bundesliga. But you know, I mean, it's a funny one, but it's certainly a market that Danny Rowe knows. So I'm not going to come out and say that he's not going to be good or he's going to be a world beater or whatever. I'm not going to come out and say that because there's certainly nothing that we can judge him on right now because we simply just don't know enough about him. I mean, you look at his stats, I think 8 goals in 17 games, but when you look at how many minutes he's played, I think he averages around, I think it's 0.6 goals per 90 minutes, I think I've seen a stat that the Rangers Journal came out with today. So it's a funny one, and I see what you mean. And I've made this point before on the channel. We've already got 2 strikers in the door that we've already paid decent money for. Obviously, Chermiti with 8 to 10 million, and Miovski who we spent around 4 million on as well. So that's 12 to 16 million that we spent on 12 to 14 million. Sorry, that we spent on strikers. So that's a lot of money. And I think to spend, I think we're rumoured to pay around 3 million for Ryan and Derry. I think 17 million in strikers for 2 of them. Well, for one of them at least did not play in a game. It's frightening. I genuinely don't think. I think it's one of the positions that we're actually sound in right now. But I kind of see it because Miovski, I think we've seen Miovski. We got a wee bit frustrated with him on Thursday night. A couple of chances that he should have taken. And obviously Chermiti, who we know, I mean, we thought he was going to kick on after the Celtic game, but he hasn't really that much. He's not scored since, so it is a funny one. None of our goals are coming from strikers, so maybe we're looking at something different in terms of a choice in the centre forward position. But I don't know. It's a strange one for me, to be honest.
For me, it's more about the quality around the striker, you know. So you could see how many times did the attacks break down because the final ball wasn't right. You know, that's the final ball sort of, you know, into the striker. I know Miovski had a potential chance to unleash, and he never did. He did a bit of a back heel and messed that up. But we're not giving the strikers enough good service to really provide for them. But having looked at Naderi, you know, he sort of looks like a bit of a Haaland type, you know, tall, long legs, you know, big stride on him. You know, he's physical. He can get himself about the place and got a good finish on him as well. So I don't mind us bringing him in. I just think it's going to be hard to keep all 3 of them happy, you know, because if none of them get injured and you're there with 3 strikers that, you know, that want to be playing football, well, you know, if Chermiti starts and he plays 60 minutes, who do you then bring on? Miovski or Naderi? You know, you might bring one of them stays on the bench, but then that player's not happy. Do you just keep rotating players constantly? I think it'll be quite a tough balancing act. What about yourself, Gordy? What do you think of the new potential?
Personally speaking, I don't care if they're unhappy or not. If they're not scoring goals, get the team, and they're not scoring goals. I'm sorry. Again, it's a bit like Clinton and Salah. Like I'm traditional when it comes to strikers. You know, I like to see them shooting on target and scoring goals. I know that's, you know, it's madcap, that idea, especially this season. Fernandes and Tavernier are top goal scorers, and we've paid 12 million. Like, okay, so we've paid this money, but that's not Diane Rule's fault. Chermiti's a long-term project, probably, so he'll understand. Miovski, I'm sorry, Miovski's had plenty of chances, plenty of game time. He's very, very occasionally shown in flashes what he can do. But if you're a striker at Rangers, you're not scoring goals, then you don't care if he's upset or whatever. Like, you're not scoring goals, you're not in the team, pal. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but is it the striker's problem?
I want Rangers to win the league. I want Rangers to win the league this season. Okay, right? And as I'm sure we all do. Okay, so for me, if we get a guy that can score 10 to 15 goals between now and the end of the season, we win the league. But
bringing in another striker, for example, let's say we had Haaland in against Dundee.
Wait, sorry, because I'm going to have to sign off for a wee second. Okay, right now. Please don't say we brought in Haaland and the players around him, because Haaland will score 30 goals, right, no matter who's playing, right? So I'm not going to accept that.
But would he though? But would he? Would he score
Absolutely.
without the service? For me, it's always for me. A striker is only as good as the service he gets. Yes,
how many times
you're looking for runs as long as he's making the runs or can hold the ball up. But for me, I think we need to work on. I think it's more structurally a bit of an issue rather than.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that to a certain point. But how many games this season have we turned around to each other in the group chats or after the games and went, can't believe he's missed that, can't believe he's missed that, can't believe he's missed that, can't believe he's missed that. You two, you said it yourselves in your statements about the strikers, you know. So even if I'm not getting the service that we would like, and there has to be improvements there, at the end, the guys they're still getting chances, they're still getting sitters week in, week out, and they've scored 4 or 5 goals each in 6 months, right? And they're not getting as many chances we would like, but they are still getting chances, and they are still getting sitters, and they're still getting clean through on goalkeepers, and they're still getting chances to shoot for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, right? So I'm sorry, and I'm just trying to be forceful. I need to log off in a wee second about this, right? But if you're a striker at Rangers and you're not scoring goals, then it's your own fault. Like, I don't really care, to be honest. If Miovski's unhappy, we'll go out and score goals then, like get back in the team. But
okay, fine. Okay, so if before we sign off, then we've been going for over 50 minutes now. Gordy, who would you sign if you had one player that you could sign over the next week? Who would you sign? What position?
Realistically,
and would it be?
Realistically, I would probably bring in a centre defender.
What right side?
I'm gonna. Sorry.
Go on, Lewis.
No. I'm going to say, don't get me wrong, I don't exactly disagree with you, but Gordy, but an argument that you can make that in the last, I believe 5 games, we've not conceded any goals. So we're yet to see Suter and Cornelius, probably our 2 better centre halves, maybe with the exception of Manny Fernandez, but our two better off centre halves, Suter and Cornelius, we're yet to see them come back. And in the last 5 games, we've not conceded any goals. We've kept 5 clean sheets in 5 games. Gordy, do we need another centre back? And if so, who do you think? If you've got any rough ideas?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, there's a few. Yeah, I mean, you've got a couple. You've got Craig Halkett and Stuart Finlay at Hearts. I don't want to say Simon Phillips or Gogic, but Suter's not signed a new contract yet. Giga is inconsistent. Fernandez, yeah, he scored a couple of goals, but I don't care what you say. Like, he still looks inconsistent, and there's a mistake in there as well. I'm just being frank. I'm just saying how I see it when I watch Rangers. Like, I'm still not totally convinced by Fernandez. Yes, he's done great to score a few goals, but and the fact of the matter is that we've got, you know, Cornelius, is he better? Is he going to be playing left back? Is he going to be playing left central defenders? Are we going to play 3 at the back? If we play 3 at the back, we need another defender in there. And we've got to start building for next season as well. So I would rather have a new. To be honest, I mean, I'm torn between a striker up top, but yeah, I would bring in another defender because we're top heavy in midfield. We're top heavy on the wing. So yeah,
are we top heavy on the wing though?
Maybe I'm watching.
Are we top heavy? Are we top heavy tonight? Are we?
Maybe I'm watching a different game, right? I don't rate Giga. I don't rate Fernandez.
I rate Fernandez.
No. But you say we're top heavy in the wing. Realistically, who do we have? We've got Scott Wilson, Gassama, and maybe Ardman, but Ardman's not really getting much for sniff. And Finlay Curtis is about to go on loan. Obviously, you can maybe argue make him out, but as Jay said, his better position is in that 10, and that's probably where we'll see him play for the remainder of the season. We'll see still the club. So, are we top heavy? And I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't go out and sign the boy from Motherwell, Masvanisi, but I think a lot of fans are jumping the gun a wee bit. A lot of fans, yes, they're saying pay the money for him. He's a good player, but I think we're jumping the gun. He's had a good 6 months at Motherwell. A Motherwell team that's doing very well. Don't get me wrong. Credit's due. Motherwell have been fantastic this season. They've been a joy to watch in the games that I've seen of them. But for me, I would sign another winger to play out there on the left hand side.
But do you have anyone in mind? Because for me,
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jump off.
Okay.
Yeah, no balls on the cheers. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, we'll just be finishing up now. But for me, Lewis, I would get Masvanisi in. You know, He knows the league. He's been scoring goals.
Yeah.
We need actually firepower. We can look at potentially getting someone else in. I'm sure the scouting department are looking at all different kinds of positions and players that we can bring in. But off the top of my head right now, if you brought Maswanisi in on that left-hand side and, you had this team with Maswanisi in it, one, you're weakening a really strong team that we have to go away to anyway in a couple of weeks. But also he scored, double figures for goals already this season, which none of our players have. And I obviously know that he's not been doing it for years on end. But had he been doing it for years on end, he'd probably be off, long ago anyway. So it's one of those players where I feel like take the gamble on him. He's proven that he can do it in this league. He understands the league. Take the gamble on him, and because chances are, we're going to need to freshen up in the summer anyway. Because Gassam has had interest this window. He's decided to stay. If he performs over the next few months, he's probably going to be off. Villarreal come back in for him or whatever and pay the money. So then we at least then have Maswanisi already in the team, and then it's just about bringing someone else in. So for me, looking at this, I'll be happy if he wants to bring in Naderi. Fine. That's it. That's obviously Danny Rowe's problem to deal with, trying to keep them happy. And if he adds to the squad, adds value to the squad, then great. And if he can score goals, even better. Then and I trust Danny Rowe's going to make the right decisions anyway, because he's done everything right so far that he's been in charge. But I really do want to see us buy another winger, because that means if we bought another wing, especially for that left-hand side, we move more into the centre where he's most effective. And then, we can start hopefully creating more chances for the strikers to score goals. And hopefully the players around the strikers will score goals as well. So anything else to add before we wrap up, Lewis?
No, not at all. I mean, of course, there's a good few players that we're linked with as well. I mean, as we mentioned earlier on about Joe Rodwell, how we've already got sort of covered in that position. I don't believe we do. As I mentioned with Chikwani, I think he's a player that's sort of more sort of advancing forward a little bit. I think in the midfield, I think he's more of a box to box than a deep line player. I think we're linked with the boy Jens Hjerto Dahl from Tromsø in Norway. So I think he'd be a great addition. Obviously, I've seen some videos of him, and as I said earlier on, obviously you're not going to show him falling on his backside. But at the same time, from what I've seen of him, I've heard that he bases his game off of some of the top players in the world. I mean, I'm not exactly going to say you're basing your game off of Jordan Rossa. You're not going to say you're basing your game off of him. But at the same time, like from what I've seen of him, I've seen some slight similarities to the players that he's mentioned that he bases his game off of. So I certainly think it's a gamble. It's a gamble, and I don't think he's a player that would be starting week in, week out. But it's certainly one that I'd be excited about. And it's obviously we spoke in the channel before how we're looking into the Scandinavian market a bit more. Obviously signing Scott Wilson, but I wouldn't mind it. There's another couple of players, obviously Maswanisi as well. Ryan Naderi. There's a good few players that we've been linked with. This one though, I really hope that we can bring in another two, because obviously since we've brought in Scott Wilson, we've not really seen much else going around with who we've been linked with until really today, with the strong links to Ryan Naderi. So it's one that I'd be intrigued in. As I said, with Ryan Naderi, a bit of a funny one. But Maswanisi, I'm not saying it wouldn't work out, but there is slight questions to be asked. Are we basing him off of a good 6 months?
Well, yeah, that's all we really have to work with. But at the same time, I feel like you look at a player's potential and what they could go on and do, and I feel like for me, he ticks a lot of the boxes. And I just feel like we need more creativity in that area. Just so we can get more away from that. I'm fed up of seeing more on the left-hand side, fed up of seeing more on the wing. I want him to have a free role. He's an intelligent footballer. Give him a free role where he can find the pockets of space, in and around the box, where he can link with the attackers and play those through balls into the wingers and hopefully create chances and score goals, etc., etc. Because, there's a lot of potential there, and I feel like he's just being wasted at the minute. But for me, if I had one player to pick for us to buy for over the next week, it would definitely be Maswanisi. We'll go to a few comments then before we wrap up. David Hutchison, how many games has Matondo started in 3 years? Bet you it's not more than 25. Probably not, probably not. And hopefully another club can sign him and they can deal with his lack of availability. Glenn Keane thinks we should send NCL out on loan. I completely agree. Hopefully that loan deal does come for him this month because he's just wasted on the bench otherwise. And Ninjas says, where actually is Ant-Man? God knows. He came with such promise in his first game, but it's just gone downhill from there. But if you do actually see him, please direct him towards Ibrox because we need him for the run-in. Hopefully, he can still become a big player for us this month and for the remainder of this season. And onwards and upwards, mate. Let's wrap up there. Unless you've got any last words.
No. All I want to say is that the next 15 league games are absolutely massive. I think we should be treating these next 15 games like 15 cup finals. I believe it was either yourself or Gordy that said it actually in the chat. This is 15 cup finals that we are going to be playing in for the next while until May. So let's get behind the team. Let's get that positivity. Let's get that positivity back at Ibrox. Let's get the atmosphere back. None of this leaving after 60 minutes. As much as I kind of get it, you're going for the subway or you're trying to beat the traffic, but be there, support the team for the 90, sing for the 90, sing before the game, sing after the game, celebrate with the players, enjoy it because we're playing well. We're on a good run right now under Danny Röhl, and I think it can be so much better.
Yeah, well said. I mean, we've had such, dreadful times over the last decade or so. There's light at the end of this tunnel. Get behind the team. Let's push us to title number 56. And mate, it's exciting times ahead. It's great to be a Rangers supporter, and like I say, onwards and upwards. Bring on Porto, bring on Hibs, bring on Killy, bring on Motherwell, bring them all on, and let's win this title. Right, thank you all for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be on again throughout this week and to bring you any sort of updates and any transfer news, etc. So please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That would help us out massively. And bye for now.